And welcome back, everyone, to Front Office Sports Today. I'm Baker Machado here in New York City, and Olympic medalist and world champion snowboarder Scotty James has a new documentary coming out on December the 19th on Netflix. It's called Pipe Dream. This is all ahead of the 2026 Winter Olympics. This is Scotty chases his first gold medal. So joining us now is Scotty James. Scotty, great to have you here. Thanks so much for joining us. So what made you want to do this? What made you want to do a documentary?
Well, thank you for having me. A lot of reasons why I wanted to do a documentary, and a lot of things I discovered about myself and what other people thought about me through the process as well, which has all been very fun. But, I think it was an amazing opportunity. It's been a really wild ride to date from when I was a kid to now, and had some really amazing milestones. And to be honest, I've never ever told my story in depth, and we have so much amazing archive footage. And I think we were able to really bring together a cool story about a kid from Australia who's, had to go through some challenging moments and was a snowboarder, which was, who would have thought? So it was really, really fun to create it, and relatively emotional as well, I must say. But just felt like the timing was right, and it's now.
Absolutely, and you really get that when you watch the documentary, especially at the end, how it really all comes together really well. Scotty, what were some of your favorite aspects of doing this documentary? Maybe were there people specifically that you enjoyed highlighting or working with on this?
Yeah, working with an amazing group, amazing team, Pat Diamond and, his crew, and myself and my brothers and our team. We had such an amazing group of people to tell a great story, and everyone really was super helpful in the process. And I think we maximized, the archive footage that we had to its full degree, which was really rewarding because we've been collecting it for so long. And then to obviously be on a platform like Netflix is going to be unbelievable, and a place where I'm really proud that the story is going to be told. And it was a lot of fun. And I think, naturally a lot of my peers and, very highly respected people in the industry had their thoughts on my journey, and some of my other competitors. And it was really the first time I've actually heard them talk about me specifically, the good and the bad, and all those, it's all amazing. And I really enjoyed watching it and listening to all of those things. So collectively, we had a great group, and really appreciate everyone's time and hard work to make it come to fruition.
Well, one of the themes that's talked about a lot in the documentary is your legacy and kind of how you want to be remembered for all the things that you've done on and off the snowboard. What do you think is going to be your legacy, and what do you want it to sort of be? And do you feel like this documentary sort of encapsulates it really well?
Yeah, I would say, I still feel very young, so legacy is a big word. But, in fairness, snowboarding is a very young demographic. A lot of the guys I'm competing against are anywhere from 17 to myself, 30. So, it's gets harder and harder every year to try and spearhead half pipe and stay in front. But yeah, I would say legacy to me is, I think, there's definitely a component there where you want to be, relatively dominant in your field, your respective field. But also, to me, I would say what would make me most fulfilled is maybe the mark I leave on halfpipe riding, and how I've gone about halfpipe riding myself and paved my own path about what I think progression is, and all those kind of different elements that you incorporate into a run. And then also, what I'm doing away from the mountain, building the half pipe for the kids in Mookie's Mini Pipe Cup, and then investing in the X Games, and really trying to get this whole, being very fulfilled one day when I look back on my journey and say, regardless of the accolades and the medals, I feel like I left a footprint in the industry, and for the kids into the future would be the most rewarding. And if you can summarize that as legacy, I'd be very happy there.
Yeah, let's just talk about this just a little bit more, because I think you segued great to my next question, which is really how you're trying to build the legacy for the younger generation. You just mentioned buying a pipe back home in Australia at your home mountain. Is that sort of what you're trying to do, is build for the next generation here?
Yeah, I think where I was inspired by that was when I was growing up as a kid. I was riding little half pipes, which is a lot more fun and engaging. And to be fair, a little bit less risky than the 22-foot half pipes that we ride now. And it's such a great first step into riding transition, riding half pipe that, yeah, I was inspired to buy this mini pipe cutter and donate it to my local mountain in Australia and Threadbow, and start to give kids this avenue of, hey, if this is something you want to, pursue in the career, this is where you start. You want to have fun here. You're going to have fun with your friends and your coaches and your family and whoever else. And that's how I started, rather than stepping straight into a 22 foot, which is incredibly daunting even for myself, and I've spent my whole life. I think that the most important step for anything in life when you want to pursue it in the long term is to have passion and love it and have a lot of fun. So I think that was my intent when I wanted to buy this little cutter and give it to the kids in Australia to ride. And I hope that we have a lot more to come in that space in the future.
In addition to the Olympic Games, obviously, we know you a lot from the X Games. Next year, actually, the X Games will have the X Games League. You're a part of that, but as an advisor, I'm curious what's going to be your involvement in the X Games League and what's maybe different as an advisor than, say, an ambassador or an actual competitor in this?
Yeah, I think it's I wear a couple of different hats now when it comes to X Games, but most importantly, my main hat is still to want to try and win the events, and then the other hat is how can I gather as much information from the athletes literally in the present moment, which I think is relatively unique. I feel a lot of other athletes kind of get to the end of their career and then they decide, hey, let's maybe step into the business side and see where we can help the industry, which I think is amazing. But I saw an opportunity, and it was also timing where I thought, I want to invest in this company. I've always loved it. It's got an amazing history, but I do think that as myself can have some real positive impact from the athlete's perspective, as well as competing. So in the case we're in Aspen and we need some adjustments in the pipe, I speak directly with my competitors, and it's an immediate feedback from the mountain to the business. And I think that's been hopefully really helpful to grow the business, and we can create more fandom in the future and get more people involved in our sport, and really try and build it out a lot more into the future, particularly with the league. That's going to obviously change the landscape of how our sports are consumed, and obviously how people can engage with our sports. And I think that's an exciting next step and evolution for X Games. And it's been really great to be a part of that process and get the feedback from the athletes and kind of put it in the front of the business.
Well, all of this really exciting to see what's on the horizon for you. And of course, we're going to be watching you for the 2026 Olympics next year. And we're going to be watching you on Netflix on December the 19th. The documentary following Scotty James is called Pipe Dream. Scotty, such a pleasure to have you here. Congratulations on all the success.
Thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoy the film.
Thank you so much, Scotty. And stay with Front Office Sports for more on the business and culture of sports.